Welcome back to BVarsity Live. I'm your host, Trevor Horn, here in the downtown TBC studios. We're brought to you by Grapevine MSP and Motor City Buick GMC. It is now that time. It's week 8. Guys, week 8 of the high school football season. That means we've seen 2 months of football already. Wow. Do we know anything? No. So I welcome in Josh Bennett, John Mettus. Gentlemen, hello. How are you?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here, as always.
Yeah, what else would you be doing, dude?
Usually writing a BC football advance, but it's the bye week, so I did my grades.
However, you do have your grades coming out in Saturday or Sunday's paper.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can get into that a little bit, but what I would like to get into the simple fact that we had league play open start where all Kern County teams were in play last week in league finally. And I think we saw kind of what we thought we'd do, especially when you look at our predictions and how we did. Josh, you went 13-4.
Yeah, I took a couple risks, but I mean, we realized, it was a pretty predictable week. In the words of the late Danny Green, they are who they thought they were.
Yeah, so how did I do?
You got a couple games on me.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
No, but it did.
But who's doing better overall?
What's that?
Who's doing better overall?
He's got me by one game this season, but it will change. So pump your brakes, bro. So, but that's the thing is that here we are. We're trying to. I think we talked about it last Friday on the post-game show, where it's kind of one of those things where you see, like, especially like in the Southwest Yosemite League, and maybe even a little bit more, somewhat in the SYL, is that you've got these. Yeah, come on in, Teddy. Come on in. By the way, if you guys are watching us live on Facebook right now, you can comment in the comment section right below us here, and I'll take a peek at them.
I just kicked the stand. I felt like Kramer from Seinfeld.
Can you kick it? What?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, I can.
So the reason I brought that up is that it's the strength of schedule, I think, really kind of showed how prevalent that is in high school football in those two leagues. When you look at like BHS and Liberty, both rolled, and those teams are 3-2 in non-league play, but they lost all 4 of those losses were state-ranked teams.
Yeah.
Servite and Sierra Canyon for BHS, and then even more so Mission Viejo and Buchanan for Liberty. Both of those teams are ranked in the top 25 in Cal High Sports rankings, and then they both come out and just completely demolish the competition in league play to open up. And I think you start to see those things. Bakersfield Christian gets pummeled and almost embarrassed, if you will, on national television the week before, an 83-0 loss, the biggest margin of defeat in the state this season. And then they come back, and it takes them about a half, and then they reel off 30 points in the fourth quarter, and you're like, okay, maybe the game does slow down a little bit. Garces, another team that had the second toughest non-league schedule of any of the Division II teams in the Central section. They were able to hold off Frontier.
Yeah, again, took them a half, but defense stayed strong the entire game. So.
Yeah, it's just like a wide range of teams.
There is.
Like, what I mean? Like, it's very.
Well, I mean, even after 1 week, you can kind of, and after 3 weeks, if you will, in the SSL, you know who the top 2, maybe 3 teams are in each league, and then you know who the bottom tier is.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's that doesn't make for much parity for us as fans and reporters over the next 3 and 4 weeks, but. We're still going to get competitive games, I think, when you get those middle-tier teams in league going at it.
Yeah, and that's honestly the real mystery. We know who the top teams are, but who's going to finish, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever, and where are they going to
Well, Centennial Stockdale should be competitive.
Yeah. Very much so.
Game that came to mind for me.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get into our preview and predictions now. We'll start off with 8-man football really quickly. Somebody's got to win, you got to suppose.
Yeah.
So Maricopa 0-4 this season. They're at Coast Union in Cambria, and that's a cool campus. It's tucked away. It's off the highway, and it's on the way up this little hill. We can go up and kind of go to this like little farm where they got really good jellies and stuff. And the campus is just like right there, tucked up on the mountain. It's kind of neat. But anyway, geography lesson aside, I still think Coast Union's going to pull this one away. I've got a 27-19.
Yeah,
Josh.
34-31 Coast Union. Just got to favor the home team in this one.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, guys,
Yes.
you guys still need to go out to Cambria. I know neither one of you guys, Teddy and John, you are now officially now past your.
Are we on the clock? Well,
Yeah.
maybe we've been on the clock. Maybe.
Well, yeah, you've been on the clock. You got to think about it. You guys have now both been here 1 year now. You guys hit that mark, what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you need to get out to Central Coast. You need to check out Pismo, if you will. You need to go to SLO and kind of walk around the Mission area and go check out Cal Poly. But you guys need to go to Cambria and do all that kind of stuff and get out of the heat. Well, it's not hot anymore. You guys missed your opportunity over the summer.
Well, we're gonna do it, and so I.
We should do it together.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do it together. It's gonna be great, but if you said it and J Ben said it, I'm saying it too. I'm going Coast Union.
Yep. Walk the pier. Have fun. All right.
We'll do it for sure. Thanks, Trev.
Yep, and in the second 8-man game for Kern County teams, a Fraser Mountain on the road at Fresno Christian. Fresno Christian's campus not as beautiful as Coast Union. Sorry, it's right. There is a Tahoe Joe's right down the street from it, if that matters anything. But I got Fresno Christian winning this one, 52-20. Josh.
Yeah, 56-12 Fresno Christian.
Yep.
Yep, definitely. So while Diana's working on the camera, we're going to keep talking about 8-man football.
Yeah, I like Fresno Christian as well. Do I like? Yeah, I like Fresno. Well, I mean, all you gotta do is look at the records.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it should play out as it is. It's been a tough run for Fraser Mountain over the last 4 or 5 years. So that's probably going to sadly continue here. Talking about a sad tradition kind of continuing here. We start off with 8-man football in the Mojave River League. Burroughs still winless this season. Maybe their most competitive game last week, but Burroughs just is not. They can't get anything going. They lost to Apple Valley last week. Sorry, it wasn't last week. It was a 61-7 loss. It was the week before.
Yeah.
Oaks Hills isn't as tough as the Sun Devils, but the Bulldogs do have some bite in them, and I don't think that Burroughs is going to get a win this week. They got a couple easier games the last 2 weeks of the season to maybe get in the win column, but it's not going to happen here. I've got Oaks Hills 35-7.
Yeah, I'll take Oak Hills 49-6. It's just a learning experience for the young kids of Burroughs this year.
Yeah, it's a bummer, really, when you think about it, but those things happen. So, gentlemen.
They'll get it together eventually.
I mean, the records speak for itself. You guys are the experts for a reason. I'm just going to pick Burroughs because I really want to see him get it done. But
Fair.
Yep.
High Desert League action. Cal City is at Boron. Both teams kind of up and down this year. Cal City got a win last week, 33-22 win over Kern Valley.
We're at Bishop Kern Valley, it looks like, Trev.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bishop Kern Valley. I thought I switched these up.
All good.
Okay, so we got Bishop Kern Valley. So Kern Valley obviously lost to Cal City last week. To go 1-6 in league, Bishop 4-2 has not played an HDL game this year. So this is a matchup of the Broncos versus the Bronx. Just so you guys know.
That's a little confusing for me.
That is quite confusing.
Glad I'm not covering it.
So Bishop will get their first crack at HTL. They ended non-league slate with a 61-0 win over Sierra at a Toll House. Bishop has won 3 consecutive games. Kern Valley has lost 5 in a row now. They were competitive last week, but I don't think they're going to be able to get a win here. I have Bishop winning 28-12.
Yeah, I'll take the team with the O in their nickname, 42-14.
Yeah, I got excited.
Oh, yeah.
Kern Valley's one win, but it's been hard to pick.
But it was
late.
against a very bad Silver Valley team out of Yermo. So.
Yeah, they lost to Miramonte at home, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, I picked
I'm
Kern
going to go
Valley in that
Bishop
one.
here.
So did Rosamond. So the other HDL game this week is, obviously, Cal City Boron, because I just talked about Cal City and Boron. Both of these teams are kind of playing up and down football this season. It's hard to really judge exactly what they're doing. The Bobcats have played the second toughest schedule of D6 programs in the section. Given the fact that Boron has played the tougher schedule thus far, might lend itself to the Bobcats moving to 2-0 league play. I've got Boron winning this one 21-14.
I'll take Cal City in this one, 34-27. I don't know. They've just been more impressive in the games that I've seen compared to Boron. And winner here gets to sit in the driver's seat of the High Desert League as well. So.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll go Cal City.
5-team league, yeah. You got to. If you get to 2 wins in the first 2 weeks, you're in good position.
Yeah.
Or I can't speak English, evidently.
Cal City.
what's the point of the picks if Josh and Trevor aren't going to have some differentiation?
That's true.
So I
Yep.
applaud that. I'm going to go Cal City too.
Okay. Let's move on. In the East Yosemite League, sorry, Delano, but this one will not be close tomorrow night. Delano, they're not getting any breathing room here, guys, in the first 2 weeks. Last week, they had to play Tulare Western, a team that won the D3 title. They're now in D2 this year. They're undefeated. Now they get Tulare Union, the defending D2 champs. They're undefeated. And then in 2 weeks, they get Porterville, who, as of right now, they're also
Undefeated.
It's incredible when you look at, you got 3 teams in the EYL that are combined 18-0, and Delano has to play all 3 of them, including tomorrow night's home game. Delano, they've had kind of an up and down season. We saw the loss against South, 60-6. Is South anywhere near Tulare Union this year?
No.
No.
Not even close.
Nope.
Do the math.
Yeah.
I've got it Tulare Union 49-7.
Yeah, I'll go 63-6 Tulare Union. Just a little note in your write-up here. You mentioned Casimir Allen now playing for UCLA, and they're not having a good year, and it's kind of weird to think he probably has experienced more losses at UCLA than he probably has his entire playing career at Tulare Union at this point.
That's a trip.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
that's a trip.
insane.
I also would like to know how you came up with the arbitrary 63-6 score, but we can talk about that after the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tulare Union.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tulare Union as well.
Okay, moving on in the SSL. First game on the docket, McFarland at Taft in the Something's Gotta Give Bowl. Both teams winless in league play. Both teams had winning streaks to start the season. McFarland was 4-0 against 4 of the worst teams in the Central Section. It's great to get wins, but the competition was not the same as they'll see in league or they've seen in league thus far. Taft started 2-0. They're on a 4-game losing streak. Something's got to give here. You got to figure, but will it be tonight or tomorrow night? I don't know. I look at Taft and I see them. That's a team that can run the ball well. If they can just kind of put it together for 4 quarters and play some football, they can win. They're at home in a toss-up game in my mind. I've got Taft winning this one 21-14. Josh, you disagree?
Yeah, I mean, with Taft, honestly, if they didn't have the behind-the-scenes drama or whatever that's going on there, they would be a much better team, but it's causing them to be on a major landslide, and I think McFarland can probably surprise them here. I mean, it'll be a close game either way, but I'm going to go 21-20 Cougars.
Which is one of those things where you'd like to see everybody get a win in league play at some point just to keep those kids' momentum going. McFarland, obviously, their first year in the SSL.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get that first league win, and at some point, especially knowing that you've still got to play Kennedy.
Yep.
It's not an easy run. Kennedy's on a bye, so they got to be able to get a win here at some point. So yeah, I mean it's a toss-up. I've got Taft, you got McFarland. It's going to be a close game.
Yep.
I've got McFarland just because the one Taft game I saw, start the game with 2 false start penalties. They were dropping all the kickoffs. Just wasn't really a disciplined football team.
Didn't leave you with the best lasting impression.
No.
I got you. I'm going to go Taft.
All right, let's move on. More SSL action for you. Wasco at Chavez. Wasco, they almost handed Kennedy their first loss of the season last week. It was a 19-14 win for the Thunderbirds, and it showed you a lot of what Wasco can do. Not only, both of those teams came in averaging nearly 400 yards rushing per game.
Yeah, and the defenses came out
and
to
the
play.
defenses really came out to play, and that's a big thing, especially in small school football. If you can defend against the run and hold it, a very potent run game to 2 touchdowns like Wasco did, and obviously on the flip side, what Kennedy did. Yes, in a loss, but sometimes you win in a loss, and I think Wasco showed a lot.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Wasco has a lot of talent on their team on both sides of the ball. It's pretty incredible. Sophomore Christian Alvarez led the way with 112 rushing yards and a touchdown, and Alejandro Pareto led the way defensively with 14 tackles for the Tigers last week in the loss. I think all of that kind of lends itself to a big win, especially after Chavez lost to Arvin last week, 45-0. I've got Wasco winning this one pretty handily, 35-6.
Yeah, same here. I'll take Wasco 48-13. Chavez, I mean, good for them. They got a couple wins this season, but Wasco is proven themselves that they're probably, that third best team in the SSL right now.
It'll be really interesting to see what Wasco can do against a pass game, because that's going to be the biggest thing that they're going to have to test for.
Yeah.
Shafter's ever able to beat Kennedy in 2 weeks. That is likely going to be a battle of undefeateds. Shafter's going to go into the regular season finale against Wasco in the longest running rivalry in the state history.
That's going to be a fun game.
That's going to be a great game, and you got to think, if Wasco was able to stop the run for Kennedy, can they play the upset card again against the Generals in the final week of the regular season against?
And I'm sorry, Trev, you said that game's at Shafter or at Wasco?
I don't, off the top of my head,
Because Wasco seems tough on their home field. I mean, honestly, they battle.
See, now you're going to make me look.
I do think it's worth noting because if that game was at Kennedy, it may have been slightly different, but it was a good game, and I think something had to do with the simple fact that Wasco was playing in their backyard.
And they've shown it there.
It will be at Wasco in the regular season finale.
I think that plays a factor too.
Yeah, so there you go. So that'll be really
I'll
interesting to
watch
see
it,
what
so.
happens there.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to them the preseason too, and they're just frothing at the mouth waiting for that Shafter game. So
I'm just picturing them just frothing.
Let's go.
Man.
Let's go.
they want Shafter, and they want to be the team to hand them their one loss in the loss column.
But you like Wasco in this one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Handedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, the final SSL game. Number 24 Shafter still undefeated. They're on the road at Arvin. Very interesting game here. The Bears playing very good football, and will give another test to Shafter to see just how good the Generals are. Obviously, Alex Aguilar is the superstar for that team, and he's going to get all the accolades. But you look at everything they have. Aguilar plays both ways. Pedro Avila is the leading running back. He starts on defense. Jackson Sanchez, Marco Rodriguez, Isaac Enriquez have combined for 203 receiving yards combined and have 18 total touchdowns between the three of them from passes from Aguilar. And all of those guys are defensive standouts for them, too. So, this team continues to do great things on both sides of the ball. When you think about it, they've outscored opponents, gentlemen, 370 to 48. And that includes a 40 to 28 win over Highland.
Pretty good.
They've given up 20 points in the other 6 games.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So when you think about the offense and how they're averaging 52 points a game, 57 points a game,
So I have,
their defense is just as good.
I have classic newcomer question right now, with Josh and Trevor would be perfect to answer this. So Shafter's program, were they, before Perucci got there, were they not good?
No, Ricky Ishida had a few things going, but they were 500 football.
They were 500 football.
But you got to also realize that, Bakersfield Christian was in there for a while, and Perucci was leading BCHS to state championship games. Wasco was going undefeated in 2012.
Well, yeah, we just talked about
Taft was, a very solid team. Chavez was really good.
Yeah.
They had back-to-back 10-win seasons, 2014, 2015. So you're talking about what happened at Shafter before then. It's the ebbs and flows of the one school, one town programs. Everything is up and down, and you've got a really good senior class right now for Shafter that's seasoned, veteran, and playing very good football.
Yeah, we just talked about the wide range of teams. I didn't know where they fit in because right now, obviously, on their level, they are at the top of that. And I didn't know in terms of but that's why I asked.
Well, I think they are on a historically good pace right now for that program. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
it helps have a generational talent at quarterback too. So.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Fall into your lap,
and the thing about Aguilar is everybody's kind of talking about what's he going to do in college, and it's like, let him play high school football.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about that right now.
He doesn't have to worry about that stuff. I mean, he's not going to get recruited by big programs as a quarterback. He's slight, and college football programs don't like slight quarterbacks.
Defensive back.
Yeah,
Yep.
He's going to be a defensive back, whether it'll be at a Cal Poly, which he might fit in perfectly. I've always thought that if he's a guy that's willing to do military service, he would fit perfectly into their schemes at Air Force or at West Point or at the Naval Academy. He could fit in perfectly with any of those systems, any of the triple option college programs that they run. He would fit perfectly into that. But, I'm not a college recruiter. I don't know exactly what they want, but he's also showed the ability to play well in defense. He kind of reminds me of at a lower level, Asani Rufus.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
He ran the triple option in high school. He was the leader of that team. He rarely played defense, but when he did, it was in big, crucial moments. And now what's Asani doing? He's 6th all-time in tackles for career at Nevada now in his senior year. So does Alex Aguilar have the same trajectory as Asani in terms of winning a state title his senior year and going to be a standout defensive back in college?
He's on the right path for it.
He is.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
Why not have that conversation?
Yeah.
So, all right. So do we go over? I have Shafter winning 42-13.
Yeah. I looked back at the Highland game kind of maybe as a litmus for this, kind of compared how Shafter played Highland, Arvin played Highland. I think we're going to get a shootout here. I'm going to go 56-38 Shafter.
That's incredible when you think about the fact that they've only given up 48 points in 7 games, and now you think that Arvin's going to put up almost that total tomorrow night.
They have the talent to.
They do.
Yeah.
And so it'll be fun. And Edgar Mayer is really, and I'll say this over and over and over and over again, the most underappreciated high school football coach, maybe in the Central section.
Yeah.
that
Definitely in
4-2
Kern
record
County.
looks nice next to their name.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
quite
it does.
honestly, this is probably the biggest game at Arvin in quite some time.
It's going to be fun. It's
Yeah.
going to be raucous.
And I want this to be a competitive game. I want this to be I think Shafter's going to win, but I would like it to be a close game because I want to see Shafter challenged and not have another.
Yeah.
Well, because they
56
have
to
this
whatever
game,
blowout.
and then they've got a bye,
Yeah.
and then they've got Kennedy.
I mean,
at
they
home.
literally haven't been pushed all year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how about that scheduling for Perucci getting a bye before Kennedy game? That's big.
Worked out.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to the Southeast Yosemite League, a wide open one, if you will, especially what East did last week in that big win. I mean, big win over Miramonte. So
Yeah.
the Blades came back. Richard Lara looked good. He had 3 touchdown passes. The offensive output for East makes this game much more intriguing, especially what we saw out of South last week, only beating a winless Foothill team by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what the biggest story here is. East rebounding against Miramonte or South not looking great the past couple of
South
weeks.
was averaging 50 points a game in the first 4 weeks, and then they've scored 26 points and 26-27 loss to West, and then they scored 28 points last week against Foothill.
Yeah.
So, not really certain what's going on with that offense. When I went out there the week of the West game, they looked happy, they looked fun, they looked excited about it. Bryson Aguilar is a great young I shouldn't say young, but he's a senior veteran quarterback. Obviously, he's young because he's still in high school to us. But anyway, they've got so many weapons, and then they only put 4 touchdowns on a Foothill team that really hasn't been competitive this year. I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe their numbers game is finally catching up to them. They don't have a really big
They
team.
really don't. I mean, everybody's got to go both ways. They don't have a
Yeah.
lot of, it's easier for Shafter to be able to do that at the D5 level than it is for South to do that at the D3 level, to only play with 25, 30 guys.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Maybe the season's catching up to them or something or whatever. But I still have South winning, but
I
they
think
have
South
question marks now.
Yeah, but I think South might be a little salty after
Yeah.
that performance last week, and I think they come back, rebound, and win big. I've got a 35-14 South.
Yeah, I got 30-14, but we'll see if South can rebound.
We do the you guys have seen it, Beat the Experts that we do in Thursday's paper. I went 6-0. You went 6-0.
I went
5-1. You went 4-2 because you chose Centennial and got grief from it
Stop
at the
pointing
beginning.
at me, thanks.
John, you disagree with both of us on this outcome.
Yeah, I've got East in this one just because, like you two mentioned, I'm concerned with the last 2 weeks for South. They were up, 20-0 against West.
Yeah.
A West team without their star running back.
Yeah.
And West is able to come back and win that game. And then last week, I was expecting a bigger offensive performance against Foothill. No offense to Foothill. So I've got East in this one.
Okay, that's fair. Teddy?
And I look at the teams East, no disrespect to East, but they've beaten Golden Valley and Miramonte. I think South will win this game.
Yep, fair enough. Okay. Excuse me. Moving on in the SEYL. we talk about
chicken bone over there.
we talk about Foothill being winless, obviously, and then here's a really interesting North team. I just finished up the Friday preview, and I went out to check out the Stars yesterday, and it's like a deja vu, dude.
Yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the team was 3-3 at this point last season, and they reeled off 6 consecutive wins before they lost in the D4 semifinals. They shared a league title with South and Highland in the SEL.
Yeah.
East is now in, so it's a 6-team race now.
But they already have the Highland win out of the
But they
way,
already
too.
had the Highland win last week, and Norm Brown's like, dude, it could have been worse than what it was, but we fumbled the ball late and they scored, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's like dysfunctional family in the first month of the season, and then they all realize, oh, we do love each other, and we can do some great things.
It's like
and
you got to lock them all in a room and just wait for them to come out together.
Yeah, exactly. It's like let them beat themselves
There's
up in
a
the
method to the madness.
Yeah,
It really
exactly.
is. There is
Like,
a
as-
crazy like a fox, Norm Brown.
Their
No
own
doubt.
coaches were telling them, yeah, you guys are the best 0-3 team in the section. Probably.
No, I think Clovis West was.
Okay,
But
But that was the message.
yeah,
they were
I mean,
Yeah,
preaching.
that
was
was
the message, yeah.
well, especially in D4, definitely. I mean, that was the message. It's like, yeah, we're fumbling over some. But, like James Johnson misses time, disciplinary reasons. Shannon Ferguson misses time because he has a broken hand.
Yeah,
Chris Romero missed a game with an injury, and those were all three of their standouts. Michael Doughton was their starting quarterback. He was ineligible the first week.
Yeah, they've had
against
3 kids play
Centennial.
quarterback this year.
Yeah, exactly. Cole Field, Shannon Ferguson, Michael Doughton, and then they're finding James Johnson ways to put him, in the backfield, taking snaps at tight end, split out. I mean, the guy is a Division I talent.
Yeah, of course.
And and he's quickly realizing that he was making the same mistakes mentally and physically like he did last year. And I think
a
I
lot of
talked to
them
him yesterday,
realize that, yeah.
and they're all realizing it's like we can't do this. We're
No.
better than this. And I
Yeah.
think that's that's the method with North. Teddy.
Do you think their schedule balanced out for them a little bit? Obviously, week 1 against Centennial, that's a tough game for them. They're playing up there. They lost a shaft or two.
Well, yeah,
or-
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they
Yeah.
come back and they got that big win against Wasco, which is huge.
That was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I did not pick them to win that game. That
Yeah,
was a big
I mean,
win. And that was at Wasco.
Yeah, and then they beat West,
Yeah,
and that's a good
pretty
football team in
handily.
West.
Yeah, they
So
they didn't just beat them. John was.
and then they beat Highland, so it's
Yeah.
not like they're
Agreed.
rebounding off an 0-3
Agreed.
start and playing cupcake teams and beating
No,
them.
100%.
Those are 3 quality wins
Very
in the
good
last
point.
3 weeks.
Very good
So that trip to Monterey was weird because it was a Saturday afternoon game, and
Yeah.
they were fighting within themselves
Yeah, that
and
was a-
fighting them.
that
and
was a
the ball-
definition of a weird game.
And I think the ball spent more time on the ground than it did in their hands, and and it's crazy. And I left practice yesterday, and the one thing that kind of stood out to me was, while the O line is going, the quarterbacks are throwing around, and deep ball from Doughton, and Shannon Ferguson just goes up, and it's like he's 6'4", and then he just reaches out his big limbs and just grabs it one-handed at practice, and I went, these dudes are so talented.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. In Division 4, you've got a 6'3" tight end who can split out, and a 6'4" wide receiver in Shannon Ferguson who could take snaps and throw the football, because you saw it.
Yep.
He went 10 for 10 against West.
Yeah, he threw it all over the place against West.
Yeah, and he's not even the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, so, with all of that being said, North is going to win this one-handedly, but you've really got to kind of look at it. How good are they?
We'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the biggest test will be the South game, because as good as they have been, they haven't beaten South in a while.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be their big litmus test there.
I don't think they beat them since 2014, if I remember correctly. Or
Yeah,
maybe not
they-
even then.
Yeah, they haven't had the sword in a while.
Yeah, but so, I mean, they're going to get a win here, and then they're
Yeah.
going to have to play South the next week. So I've got the score, what I pick, 42-7.
49-6 Stars.
Mettus.
North?
Got to roll with North here
Yep.
for sure.
Final SC Wild game. Miramonte, we thought, was a team that was on the uprise. I think we kind of realized that it was no knock on Miramonte, but obviously those wins came over Kern Valley and Rosamond.
Yeah.
2 wins is 2 wins for them.
You got to get those wins.
Yeah, you do. You do have to get those wins.
So now they've got a Highland team that's kind of licking their chops after that loss to North last week. So when you look at that, I think that Miramonte, they're going to be the favorite against Foothill, but I think that's the only other win they're going to get this season.
Probably.
Highland, I just think they're too talented to lose two weeks in a row. I think Mike Gutierrez and his coaching staff are really good. They're going to get those guys responded, and I think we kind of saw what Miramonte is going to have to experience in league the rest of the way, other than the Foothill game.
Yeah.
I've got Highland winning this one, 41-13.
38-13 Scots.
Island.
Yeah, I think if you're Miramonte, you hope the fourth quarter rolls around and you're in the football game and you see what happens, honestly.
Yeah.
But I like Highland in this game.
All right, let's move in the SYL. We've got some big games here. First off, Independence is at home against Golden Valley. We talk about big games. This probably won't be one of those big games. Independence is really looking like a title contender in terms of this league right now. The Falcons, under first-year head coach Tyler Schillhobel, we'll talk about his trajectory as a head coach and what he has coming up soon in the Bakersfield, Californian. Really interesting to see. The team won 7 wins last season, and that was a school record for the young program at Independence. And they're 4-2 right now, and they're sitting pretty. they're looking okay.
Yeah.
Where Golden Valley's not.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, let's be honest, they lost 70-0 to Ridgeview in a game that was probably over in the first quarter, really.
Yeah.
18 kids on roster, that number is fluid, whether some kids come back or not. And, it's hard to win football games when you literally don't have, you can't field an 11-on-11 practice.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that. If you can't even field a full practice, like, how are you going to win games?
Yeah, and Independence just looks like the better team here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got them winning 42-7.
Yeah, I got 55-6 Falcons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Independence.
Yeah, same what I said about Miramont, same with Golden Valley. You hope they're in the game, at this point. Believe and compete. But we're rolling with Independence across the board.
Yep, and then Independence has got a big game against Bakersfield Christian next week, which could set themselves up.
Very intriguing.
One of those two teams is probably going to be the front runner, against Ridgeview in the final few weeks. Moving on in the SYL, there is BCHS. We talked about them. We saw the highlights earlier in the show. Big fourth quarter for the Eagles. They are now 3-3, and you look at strength of schedule. I mean, they've had to play a tough schedule. And you look at that Oaks Christian game, that's an anomaly. They beat St. Joe's, which is a very good team.
Yeah.
Just beat Arroyo Grande. St. Joe's is, in first place now and in the Mountain League, and they're in the top 10 in our Central Section rankings. BCH has a win over them.
It's a big quality win, yeah.
It is. And when you look at that, Bakersfield Christian has the athletes.
They beat Garces week 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, Garces to turn around and look like a really good football team again. So, Bakersfield Christian has the things in place. Jacob Moran came in. John, you saw that game. He came in the second half. He had an interception, turned down to the 3, and then he was the spark. A couple touchdown passes to Myron Randall, found Alex Wallace. Alex Wallace returned an interception for a touchdown.
Yep.
They got things rolling against West last week, so maybe it took them, there was a little bit of hangover in the first half after that loss to Oaks Christian, and then they realized, hey, we're a pretty good football team. They came away with victorious. Tehachapi, a team just hasn't been able to figure things out right now. I mean, their only win this season against that Taft team that's kind of spiraling out of control right now. So, when you look at that, loss to Wasco, a big loss to BHS, and, things really haven't rebounded for the Warriors this year. And I know this game is up on the mountain, but I don't think that matters anymore. I think BCHS is the much better football team right now. Just because it is up on the mountain, it is going to be a little bit cooler tomorrow night. The things always happen up there, but I still have BCHS winning this 135-21.
Yeah, 41-13 Eagles. This is we've mentioned some of these teams that have just had off years this year. Tehachapi is one of those teams.
Yeah, I was expecting Tehachapi to have more wins at this point in the season, so BCHS.
Everything you guys said.
Cool. Great insight. Teddy Feinberg. And finally, the last game in the SYL. This is the one in the league this week, in this league, that intrigues me the most. West is a team that kind of, had a lead on BCHS.
Yeah, completely winnable
Defense
game.
was good.
Yeah. They've won some quality games this season.
And
they've lost a couple
had
of tight games.
Pretty bad losses too.
And they have had some pretty bad losses,
Yeah.
included the season opener against a Mission Oak team that went 0-10 last year. But this game intrigues me a lot because Ridgeview, they ran RPO and things like that late against Golden Valley, but I think a lot of that had to do with what Dennis Manning had told me in the days leading up to last week's game, is that there are a lot of things that they needed to kind of figure out offensively, and that was getting a bunch of different dudes in different positions to see what works. You saw Sean Allen went off huge for them in the run game, the sophomore, where maybe Taj Wright didn't have as big of a game, or Dalen DeGraffenberg didn't have as big of a game, or they didn't need to.
Yeah.
Manning was finding other guys to find positions for him, and I think that's what's going to happen. Is I think they used last week's win over Golden Valley as like a midweek. And this sounds so bad when I'm talking about another high school football team in their league, but Ridgeview and Golden Valley are just on two different level playing fields right now. And I think it was a mid-season scrimmage, and please don't take any offense to that. That's just the stark reality here that we're living in. And I think they're going to use that in everything that they built off of last week, and that's going to turn into a sizable win for Ridgeview, and I've got them winning 35-21.
Yeah, 45-21 Wolfpack. And like I said last week too, that was the game where you just throw some things out there and test and see what works and keep in your back pocket for playoff time. But yeah, I don't know who West is this year. I mean, yeah, they lost LG Lowell for the season, but like they're either really good or they're really bad. So
they've got playmakers. They
Yeah.
always have
Yeah.
playmakers.
Of course.
It's always the hidden gem in Bakersfield because they're right in the center of town, and you've got athletes in there, but their boundaries shrink every year, and it grows a little bit and it shrinks. But there's always some hidden talent on
Interesting
that
collection of talent.
There is. There always is, and
they just don't really have a solid identity this year. I don't think.
Yeah, but neither does Ridgeview. But I think Ridgeview's still more talented.
But
Well, yeah, I was
look
gonna
at
say, speaking
Ridgeview's
of
2
talented.
losses though, BHS and Liberty.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to favor Ridgeview in this one.
So yeah, Josh took the words out of my mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, I got Ridgeview going. I
Okay.
got them winning big here.
All right, we got 3 games left, and they're all in that Southwest Yosemite League. First one we start off is the most competitive game in the SWL this week. Stockdale at home against Centennial. Both of these teams need to forget about last week as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they've forgotten about it already.
Yeah, when you think about it, Stockdale gave up a touchdown to BHS on the first play, while on the other side, of the west side, it was the exact same thing. While I was seeing Isaac Jernigan go 66 yards for the touchdown for BHS, you were watching Hector Gonzalez fire off to Ramona Henderson for a 60-yard touchdown pass, and that was the trajectory of the way that both of those games went.
Yeah, I mean, it just proved the big gap between BHS and Liberty and the rest of the league and even the rest of the city at this point in talent. So.
Yep. So you look at that, Evan Burkhart is a great quarterback, a great athlete for Stockdale.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Dunn, they've got dudes on that side of the ball. They can make plays. Zeke Armijo is a great defensive back for them. Centennial is a team that's got a very serviceable quarterback in Kyle Collin with a strong arm. DJ Adams is a great wide receiver. Ty Glass has been a great running back. And then, obviously, they got a Fresno State commit on the D-line. Grant Bloom's a great defensive back for them. I think this is a battle that kind of comes together, but something tells me that Stockdale has a little bit more moxie to them and can kind of grind out victories a little bit more against level competition, if that makes sense. And that's kind of why I look at this game, and it's kind of a toss-up to me. It's going to be very competitive, but I think Stockdale can come away with this one with a win on the road.
I agree. I went 38-31 Stockdale. I think the thing with Centennial and what I've noticed in some of the highlights and stuff, if they go down early, they tend to panic more, which causes turnovers, mistakes, and just takes them out of the
Frustration,
game.
penalties.
That's a really good point, Ben.
Yeah,
Well,
so like if their offense isn't clicking immediately, then it seems to go to the wayside.
That definitely happened last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got Centennial in this one instead of Stockdale just because, I think Centennial's got more playmakers on the team, and I think the more we see Evan Burkhart at quarterback, the more defensive coordinators can kind of figure out ways to adjust to that. It's not this new thing that's popping up anymore. And just, I don't think Centennial's going to get down early in this one, like, Bennett mentioned, where they kind of struggle when there's pressure on Connolly, pressure on the quarterback. So, but I don't think that's going to happen here. I think Centennial should win a close one against Stockdale.
I like Centennial. I think against competition that they've been even with this season, they've proven they can win. That's what their 4-2 record is reflective of, and that's why I went with them on their home field.
I really do like the fact that we're completely split 50-50 on this.
I mean,
game.
I completely agree with that statement.
And it shows you that, this is going to be a very competitive game, especially with the last 2 games that we're going to talk about. We all are in agreement that both of these games are going to be likely blowouts. And the first one we'll talk about, BHS at home against Garces. I think Garces is a great team. Teddy, thanks. Go do boss things. Garces is the team that came back. They won 14-7 over Frontier last week. It was a 0-0 halftime score. Game got started late. Isaiah Bell had a big interception return, and that was kind of the key. He comes back healthy.
Yep.
And Garces gets, they go 1-0 like they did last year, and then they get this game against BHS. Last year, they beat the Drillers 20-18 on a last-second field goal for the big stunner.
Yep.
They ended up going 4-1 in league, only lost to Liberty. And then... But, this isn't the same BHS team that they saw last year.
Yeah.
And really, I think we talked about it last week. BHS finally showed how dominating of a football team they can be when they don't turn over the ball.
Yep.
They had 7 drives in the first half. They only ran the ball. They only had 23 offensive plays in the first half. They scored 6 times on 23 plays in the first half.
That's
it was
dominant.
40-0 at the half.
Yeah.
And they did it every which way. They handed Seabell, had that long run. He caught a touchdown pass. Carl Jones, played a little bit of quarterback, played a little wide receiver, had that touchdown run. Isaac Jernigan, who might be a wide receiver at USC in the slot or wherever he decides to go play college football, but he only has like 3 catches this year because they're using him in an H-back, and he's running as a split end and running wild because he's so fast. And you look at this team, and they're so talented. And
As long as
the
they
defense,
don't make mistakes.
yeah, exactly. The defense has always been there and kind of been, that centerpiece for that team all season long. And the offense has, kind of stubbed their toes so many times. Even in the big wins, they still stub their toes like they did against Ridgeview, like they did against Tehachapi, like they did against Paramount.
Yeah.
And they obviously did it in the losses against Servite and Sierra Canyon. But last week we really saw a different BHS team. They totally called off the dogs after halftime. Cam Williams never saw another step. Quarterback was Ricky Easterwood. And they did not go hard in the second half, and that's why they didn't score. But this is a BHS team that's really, really good. Garces, on the other hand, I think they're going to be competitive in D2 in the playoffs. But this is a game where, you look at that offense, and they sputtered last week against in Frontier. And
14 points. That's,
and Frontier's
credit the defense, but still.
And Frontier's defense is not nearly as strong as BHS's different defense. BHS's defense is one of the best in the Central section. And it's kind of why this game is just probably – I don't know if it's going to get out of hand early, but BHS is going to pull away at some point handedly. I've got the Drillers win 35-14.
Yeah, I got 31-14. I mean, same exact points. And the thing with the Drillers, too, you got to think they're going to go in tomorrow night with somewhat of a chip on their shoulder, just if anything, to avenge the loss from last season.
Oh, yeah. And barring, some fumbles and interceptions that make things go sideways, BHS, should...
Watch your mouth.
I know, yeah. BHS should be fine in this game.
I can already hear Danny Driller walking over here wanting to come talk to you. All right, last game that we're going to talk about tonight, number 3, Liberty on the road at Frontier. Liberty, another team that strong defensively, probably top 2, 3 offensive line in the Central section.
Yeah.
Daniel Vivero's got in time at defense and just walloped on them. Everybody's kind of walk around going, this is a scary team. And I think the one thing that it was kind of missing was that deep threat connection that they didn't have, that they've had in years past when they were successful in playing and winning Central Section titles in 2014, 2015, 2016. What I think you see now is Hector Gonzalez and Ramon Henderson learning a relationship, and they're getting better at the right time, and they're able to finally connect on those long passes.
And even if it's only 2 passes a game, it's probably like a 50-yard touchdown pass.
Exactly, but that's 2 touchdowns in a game. And then Winston Jounty looking like a mirror image of his 2 older brothers in Corbin and Quincy, and catching the ball out of the backfield and juking and jiving and pushing and running and trucking. And Sam Stewart right now, you got to figure him and Alex Aguilar and maybe Cam Williams or Carl Jones, those are probably your front runners for player of the year.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And and that's what Sam's doing, is he's playing so great on both sides of the ball, is that he's a run stopper on defense, and he is just bruising back on offense. And that's the thing, is that Liberty kind of leans on the run game, obviously. But now with Brian Nixon having that disposal, we saw it the first play, Ramon Henderson, 60-yard touchdown catch from Gonzalez, and just like that, they're rolling against Centennial. And I think you're going to see that again tomorrow night. This is going to be my last look at the SWL tomorrow night. I'm going to go to this game at Frontier because I haven't seen the Titans play. I'm excited to see exactly what they have. I like to see teams in person, really get a better judgment on how they play. And I want to see Liberty throwing the ball, because I've seen Liberty win games earlier in the season, but I haven't seen them throw the ball well. I want to see Connor Matzke catching more. I want to see what Jounty can do. I want to see how Gonzalez and Henderson look.
Yeah, and they're
because
gonna
if
have
they've
to
got
throw the
that,
ball. Yeah.
then obviously BHS and Liberty are right there. And I know Liberty already has the loss to Buchanan.
But it was a sloppy loss.
It was a sloppy loss, and they weren't able to connect
Yeah.
on long passes.
Exactly.
You allow those two teams to play again in late October, in November. It's going to be a totally different
Absolutely, yeah.
outcome.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of want to see tomorrow night. But I still have Liberty winning this one big, 42-7.
Yeah, I got 42-20. Figure maybe some garbage time scores, but yeah, I mean everything you said. Liberty, I would think right now over BHS the class of the SWYL, and it's theirs to lose. I think.
Well, and those are two of the top 4 teams in the
Yeah,
Central section this
exactly.
year, behind Central and Buchanan.
Yeah.
After Central beat Buchanan pretty handedly. It was 42-24, but Buchanan scored on a late touchdown to make it 42-24. So Central really is the cream of the crop. They're number 10 in the state according to Cal High, and
Yeah.
and then
That Buchanan loss hurts. I mean, Liberty's gonna have to go on the road in the semis now, but
exactly.
if they make it there, but yeah, but
I mean, the only thing that you can think of is if BHS wins out, maybe they get the 2 seed over Buchanan because Buchanan has 1 loss.
Yeah.
But then you got to look at the coaches' votes and see how they factor that in. So it'll be really interesting to see how they go. But I think Liberty and BHS both get wins and both stay on that trajectory.
Yeah.
In this one, Josh.
Yeah,
John,
I feel like
you're Josh or John.
I feel like I say the same thing about Liberty every week, where they control the line of scrimmage, and it makes
It's-
it really, really hard to.
Yeah.
I mean,
do
and when you
anything
can do
against them
that
to beat a game.
at the high school level, we have opposing coaches say that they're the most experienced coaching staff, top to bottom, too. There's so many former head coaches on staff: Jason Oliver, Tim, Anton Giovanni,
Yeah.
Mike Lewis, and then you look at guys like Ryan Renz that should have been. Dave Rice is now helping out with the offensive line.
Yeah.
When you think about what Dave Rice was able to do at Centennial for so many years, I mean, that's a very good coaching staff. And when you've got talent like they do, it's incredible what you can do when you start getting some talent moving in the right direction. When you can control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, as well as Liberty does, it's really hard to compete against them.
Yeah, and I mean, nothing against Sam Stewart and Hector Gonzalez, but I mean, when your offensive line is completely just pushing back the defense where you have wide open holes and 5-6 yards ahead of you, I mean, you don't need to do much to get these numbers or just sit in the pocket for forever until you find a receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's like Sam Stewart.
It's a gift.
He doesn't get touched for the first few yards, and then when he does, he's running people over.
Yeah,
So it's just
he's
like
already at the second level. by
one
the
good
time he
thing
sees someone,
plus another good thing equals a great thing for Liberty.
But that's the thing is that, when we start looking at it, I love those last week of the season matchups. Liberty BHS, Ridgeview Independence, South North last week
I
of the season.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously Shafter Wasco,
Yep.
longest, greatest rivalry in state history, going at it, tri-tip, blaring out of there, the City of Roses. It'll be a lot of fun, but we still got football to play. It starts with this week and the second week of league play for the Yosemite divisions. It's the 4th week of league play in the SSL, but I think we got a lot of things going on. It'll be exciting. There's going to be competitiveness tomorrow night, and I think we're going to get more answers. We will have game night tomorrow night at 11:15 right here on Bakersfield.com and our BVarsity Live Facebook page. Tonight at 10 o'clock, BVarsity Nightly. We'll have volleyball highlights from Liberty Centennial and East Miramonte, so we'll spread the love here tonight. For Teddy Feinberg, who's in a meeting now, for our director, Diana Rodriguez, John Mettus, Josh Bennett. I am Trevor Horn. This is BVarsity Live, brought to you by Grapevine MSP and Motor City Buick GMC. We'll see you tonight on BVarsity Live. Tomorrow's game night. Bye-bye.